Hi guys, we're going to keep moving through our ecology unit, and now we're going to talk about interdependency. Interdependency is just a fancy word that talks about how organisms in an environment or in an ecosystem relate to each other. So we're going to go over each of these terms. If you have questions or need further explanation, please let me know in the Google Classroom, and I'll make another video to explain a little bit further. Okay, so there's a lot of different terms, but we're going to go over these three first. And we're going to start with commensalism. I'm going to read you an example. Lichens attach to rocks, trees, and other objects. The tree allows the lichen to be in a location where it can photosynthesize and receive moisture better. So here's the lichen. Let's put an L. The lichen is on the tree and can photosynthesize. So it's happy, because photosynthesis means that the lichen is making food. So here the lichen is happy. Here's the tree. The tree neither benefits nor is harmed by this relationship. Those are the magic words, especially on tests. If it says that one of the organisms neither benefits nor is harmed, then you know for sure that it's commensalism. So here's our tree. Our tree isn't happy or sad. The lichen is happy because the lichen is able to photosynthesize and make food. And that's how we know that that relationship is commensalism. Okay, moving on. Now let's talk about mutualism. One of my favorite examples of mutualism is Finding Nemo. So if you remember in Finding Nemo, the clownfish lived inside the anemone. And that's the example that we're going to use right now. Clownfish are the only fish able to live among sea anemones and not get stung by the anemone's tentacles. Clownfish aggressively defend their territory, and in doing so, protect the sea anemones that they live among. So, here's the anemone. The anemone is being protected by the clownfish because the clownfish lives inside the anemone. Here's the clownfish, and the clownfish is happy because the clownfish eat the remains of the fish the sea anemones have stung and partially eaten. So the clownfish is getting food and the sea anemone is getting protection. And because of that, we call this relationship mutualism. That means there's a mutual agreement between the organisms and they are both happy. Okay, now let's talk about parasitism. When you think about parasitism, think about the word parasite. And if you understand what that word means, then this will make a lot of sense to you very quickly. So here's our example. This small fly lays its eggs at the base of the ant's head. When the fly larvae hatch, they feed on the ant, eventually killing it. So here's the fly. The fly larvae get laid inside the ant's head. And when they hatch, they have food, so they're happy. Here's the ant. Obviously, the ant is sad because the ant gets attacked and is killed when the fly larvae hatch. So in parasitism, one organism is happy because it's getting something, and the other organism is sad or is killed or harmed. So as far as these three things are concerned, commensalism is when one organism is happy, one organism is benefiting, and the other organism isn't being affected at all. Mutualism happens when both organisms are happy, both organisms are benefiting, both organisms are getting something. And parasitism happens when one organism is happy because one organism is benefiting, and the other organism is sad because the other organism is being harmed. A really good example of this is bacteria. But hold on, because remember, there is good bacteria and bad bacteria. So bacteria that make you sick, like salmonella, if you ever got food poisoning, that's parasitic bacteria. That's a bacteria that feeds on you, the host, and then makes you sick. But remember that there's also good bacteria, like the bacteria that lives in your intestines that helps you digest your food. And in that relationship, we have a mutualistic relationship with that bacteria, the good bacteria in your intestines, because it is keeping you healthy and it is also feeding off of the nutrients that are in your intestines. So those are these three terms. Now let's talk about competition, predation, and mimicry. With competition, organisms are competing either against each other or against other organisms for resources or dominance in the ecosystem. With predation, there is a predator and there is prey. So if you think about if you've ever gone hunting or if you've ever gone fishing, you are the predator, and whatever you are hunting, or the fish, if you're going fishing, are your prey. And then with mimicry is really cool. It's an evolutionary tactic to help organisms that are not dangerous to survive. When you see the word mimicry, think of the word mimic, which means to copy. Mimicry is a really cool evolutionary tactic that helps some species survive just because they look like a species that is harmful. A fantastic example of this is butterflies. So the monarch butterfly tastes gross, and animals don't like eating them because they know that they taste gross. A viceroy butterfly looks a lot like a monarch butterfly, so they're less likely to be preyed upon because animals know that monarch butterflies don't taste very good. I've left a really good example after this video.